Alright, so the next thing we're going to do, let's get my charging line out of the way. We're going to disconnect this brake line, or I call it brake line, clutch line. And all it is there's a metal keeper right here. We just got to pop that out and then this will come off. And then we can drain the clutch brake fluid, and we're going to hopefully catch it in that pan that I have down there. And while that's draining, we're going to start disassembling the top. So battery and all the stuff will come out. So first thing I'm going to do is, I think I might be able to get it from the top. I don't know if you can see, but it's hard to tell. Right about where my hand is, that's where the keeper is. Let's see if I can get in there with a pair of needle nose and pull that out. Alright, so that's what it looks like. I actually used the edge of this screwdriver. It was a little easier to get it. Now all we got to do is give it a little wiggle, and it should work its way off. Alright, so just like that. We're not too concerned about this, but if you weren't going to replace this clutch master here, you'd be very careful. It's just plastic, so you don't really want to jerk on it too much. But I have a brand new one, so that will be going in. So first thing we're going to do is let this brake clutch fluid drain out. I just took the cap off here to help it breathe so that it can drain. There shouldn't be really too much in there, considering it's been leaking all over the place. Okay, so you have 112 that holds the battery clip in. This little guy right here. And then you have 2 10s at your terminals to get your battery out of there. And now, here, we're going to have some 12s, a 10, another 12, and another 10. Okay, so when disconnecting your ECU, you're going to pull out the big one first. If not, you're never going to get this small one out. Then you need to make sure this goes all the way over until it lifts, which of course I already unbolted it, so can't do that one-handed. There we go. And then we're still connected by this wire over here. Push that out of the way for a second. And then we're going to get, there we go. That'll give us a little room, and now we can get to the little gray plug behind it. Kinda, sorta. Oops. Might take a second. Alright. And like that, ECU's out. So yeah, this was the plug we were trying to get off of the top of the ECU bracket right here. So, alright, we're going to put this away for a minute so that we can see what we got, and there should be a bolt right there behind where the ECU was. So get that thing out of here. Oh. And like that. And all these bolts were just laying up there for right now. I've unhooked the battery tray from that. kind of grungy, a little bit grungy. So we're going to clean that up before we put it back in. Alright, so now we can see what's down here. So, we've got, most of this stuff will stay up and out of the way. We'll just lean it up out of the way for now. And then we'll start pulling some of these brackets out of here. So I believe these are your shifter cables. So we need to remove this bracket and these cables. And now there's a clip here, there's a clip on the side of that one. We can pull that up and out of the way, disconnect this plug, unscrew this bracket. Actually, this bracket should come up with everything else. So we just got to find out where this wire goes. We're going to unplug that. I'm going to take this bracket off. So I went ahead and disconnected the ground strap from the frame, just left it on the transmission, a little easier. There are two bolts, they're both 10s here that hold this bracket for the clutch line. All I did was just kind of lifted it up so that it might be hard to see, but it's up closer to the frame. If I need to move it, I can still lift it up a little bit more. I just have that held off to one side. Now, next thing we're going to do is tackle these cables and this bracket. Alright, I disconnected this wire hold clamp, this little pinch one, and just pulled that loom out of the way. Now we have a little bit better room to work with, so we're not fighting with that thing constantly. And so, yeah. So we're going to pull these pins. I already unplugged this. Alright, so I took the 3 bolts out. I took the 2 pins off. I just pushed the cables over here out of the way. I went ahead and took this bracket off completely just so that it wasn't in the way. So now I just have the 2 upper transmission bolts. Pull the motor mount, or pull the transmission mount, there's a little access panel on the fender. You can pop this fender off and you can pull the 2 long bolts that run through this, and then you can pull the transmission mount off of the transmission. Alright, so what we have is a bolt over here on this far side, closest to the firewall. And then under this hose, there's another one. And then right next to it, there's a black one. I don't know if you can see that. So there's one here, and then there's one there. Alright, so those 3 bolts are out. Now I'm going to pop this cover. Alright, so down here we have the other black bolt. Those are the starter bolts. So that one, there's one on the other side right here, right here, right here, and there's 2 on that side. We'll have to get underneath there. So right now I'm just loosening these up while everything's still tight. I got the jack here. It's not, jack stand's not holding any weight yet. I have not pulled those 2 bolts out. I wanted to get these loose. That way I didn't have to be trying to jerk on it while the transmission was just being supported. So let's just break these free, and then that way it'll be easier to handle once we get the bolts out. I'm always telling you I'm allergic to black widows, and that dead one right there showed his face, and now it's dead. So I broke this one free, this one, and this one, and there is not a bolt up here. So it's just 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 in the bottom. And just like that, pulled the cover, pulled the 2 bolts. The jack is holding the transmission, so I can pull those 2 bolts. We still don't have any weight on the jack stand there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and remove the transmission side of the mount. That way we can clear the frame, and then we will pull those last 4 bolts on the bottom and see about moving the transmission. Nothing is connecting it. Alright, 3 17s, 2 right there, 1 back here by this frame piece. I didn't really have to move anything. I just laid them up here. They're kind of big. May need a breaker bar to break them free. Once they start to loose, they come right out. So the only thing that's holding this motor up right now is the jack and the 4 bolts that are holding the transmission in at the bottom. And then we'll set this thing down on the jack stand. So that's where we're going next. Alright, so now we're just going to go ahead and get these 4 bolts out of here. Okay, so all the bolts are out of the transmission, I believe. I don't think I have any left. So right now the transmission is resting on the jack, sort of, and the motor is resting on the jack stand. So let's see if I can get this out without dropping it. And it never fails. There's always one you miss. So right here, next to the pipe, there's one I had missed. So 1 more bolt needs to come out. Then the transmission will separate. Okay. And just like that, the transmission is out. I did not drop it. Let's take a look at this clutch real quick. The flywheel looks good. It's just got a little bit. So this clutch was just about ready. You can see that it's starting to not have any groove there. So that's alright. We'll swap it out. But the flywheel looks like it's still in good shape. There's no grooves or anything on it. The spring thing seems to still be working good. It's not making any funny sounds or noises. So we're going to go ahead and keep that. And yeah, so next time I'm going to get some cleaning stuff so I can clean that up and put the transmission back in.